slowly. Tracing his face, but strangely he feels at home in this place. You say that you don't like them, but I've seen you all the time. Pictures. You say that you don't like them, but I've seen you all the time. Pictures. You say that you don't like them, but I've seen you all the time. Pictures. You say that you don't like them, but I've seen you all the time. Pictures. You say that you don't like them, but I've seen you all the time. Pictures. You say that you don't like them, but I've seen you all the time. Pictures. You say that you don't like them, but I've seen you all the time. Pictures. You say that you don't like them, but I've seen you all the time. Pictures. You say.
I won't lie. I'm gonna need about 5 more minutes on the starting soon. The streaming soon screen. I was completely fine. And then I read that highlighted message. And all of a sudden, just triggered it. Which honestly is a great thing because, yeah, not gonna lie, and this is something I'm gonna be talking about a little bit today. I haven't really, it hasn't hit me. It hasn't hit me yet. So, yeah, tonight, very serious, like, stream compared to what we usually do. But I wanted to do it because of a few things. I want to be around people. I want to have some company. I don't want to just wallow away in sadness. I just want to stream. And what better thing to do than celebrate the life of my grandma. I've got some pictures ready. I'm also being tasked with making a video for the funeral, and maybe I'll get into that a little bit later, but the main thing is we're just going to go through some of these pictures, whether you care or not. I don't give a shit. I've put it into follow only mode, so for the night it's just going to be me and my community. I've turned off all of the challenges, all of the DZ Shard rewards, just because it's not the time or place for that. And above all else, we're just gonna maybe not necessarily have fun, but we're just gonna relax, look back, and yeah, it is what it is. Exactly right, man. Exactly right. Alright, give me about 5 more minutes and then we'll get started.
on chasing after nothing great. You were such a fool to keep pretending that you're loving me. I don't know where I'm supposed to go. I was such a fool to keep on chasing after nothing great. You were such a fool to keep pretending that you're loving me. In the mirror, that would blur my tears and hurt my joy. I'll be the stairs to your skies, babe. Just hold me, just hold me. I'll be the stairs to your skies, babe. Just hold me, just hold me. I'll be the stairs to your skies, babe. Just hold me, just hold me. I'll be the stairs to your skies, babe. Just hold me, just hold me. I'll be the stairs to your skies, babe. Just hold me, just hold me. I'll be the stairs to your skies, babe. Just hold me, just hold me. I'll be the stairs to your skies, babe. Just hold me, just hold me. I'll be the stairs to your skies, babe. Just hold me, just hold me. Be the stairs to your skies, babe. Just hold me, just hold me. I'll be the stairs to your skies, babe. Hold me, just hold me. I'll be the stairs to your skies, babe. Just hold me, just hold me. I'll be the stairs to your skies, babe. Just hold me, just hold me.
All right. So, here we are. It's been a day, to say the least. Alright, I'm gonna switch to this camera. It's gonna be a little bit weird for me because I like making stupid jokes, and I probably will continue to make those stupid jokes throughout this stream, as inappropriate as it is, but here we are. Exactly. It's absolutely on brand. Yeah. So, 1 p.m. Around 1 p.m. today, this person here, Shahina Gaddis, my grandmother passed away. And it's very sad. It's very sad. She was 85? 85 years old. She, as my mom's husband put it, had good innings. Which is absolutely true. She lived a very full life. We're going to get into that in a moment as well, because I've gotten some pictures, and like I said, I'm being tasked with making a video, because that's all my family knows that I do. Like, I make videos. So I'm going to be making a video. I don't know if I'm going to do that on stream or through this stream, or maybe just in general talking. I don't know. But pretty much, yeah. Like, I don't think your style of content would be appropriate. I agree. And I'm going to try my best not to fall into that. I will, yeah. So many, can you imagine? So, okay, my family, I've said this before, but my family is extremely religious. Whereas I'm not. But just imagine, I start playing the video in the church, and it's just like fucking zoom-ins for comedic effect. I was thinking, although I feel like this might be inappropriate, even though it's absolutely 100% true, but I was thinking at the end, so I have like an image of how I want to do it in my mind. Like, just imagine when a big actor dies, like they've got that montage video, and then at the end they've got like the picture of, like the circular picture of that person, and then they've got the date that they lived. And I was thinking like fading out, and then like at the very bottom, just eligible, just writing, by the way, Isabel, I was the favorite. Ha 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 ha. You know this is true. Something like that. I feel like that would be extremely inappropriate, but I really do want to do it. But it is true. I was her favorite. She fucking loved me. Which makes this very, very sad. What about having a long credit sequence with you listed for... I like that too. The thing that I loved about my grandma, there's so many things about my grandmother that I absolutely loved. She shaped me into the type of person that I am. She's not particularly, like, she is a funny person, or she was a funny person, but she also is extremely intolerant, and that just made me laugh every single time. Like, she was Lebanese, and English was her second language, right? And it just, like, it was a part of her culture. It was a part of how she was brought up. And I gotta say, like, every time I was with my grandma, I'd be like, what do you think of this? And she'd be like, fucking... just say the worst things imaginable. It's just... she was the best. She was truly, truly the best. Then at the end of the credit sequence, a DZTV production. Yeah, just put like my URL at the back. I was thinking, so they're gonna do a stream because we're in lockdown. And thank you, Sam, by the way, I appreciate that. We're gonna do a live stream on YouTube. I suggested Twitch, but they were like, no. Which is, to be fair, yeah, probably the right thing to do. But they're gonna do a live stream on YouTube, so family that can't be there in person can see the event. And I was just thinking, like, so I'm making this video for them, and I'm absolutely, like, I already intend to upload this video to my YouTube channel, and then giving them the link. I was initially gonna privatize it, so it's just them, but I want this video, when I do make it, to be something special, like an ode to my grandma. So I think I'm gonna keep it public. It's gonna be extremely, like, off-brand, but it'll be a special video to me that I can go back and watch, that family members can go back and watch if they want to as well. But I was just imagining, you know how YouTube has autoplay? So if I give them the link and it's a public video, YouTube's gonna suggest the next video. And what if it's one of my really stupid, what if it's DZTV with autism? And that starts playing in the church. That would be so fucking funny. Like, oh my god, that's the most horrible thing I could imagine. But it would be so funny. Oh. What if you gave them a playlist like yeah, and then it goes into my cringe playlist? Oh fuck. That'd be so good. The best thing about that, I know in my mind that my grandma would find that funny as well, because she loved shit like that. Like she loved my stupid sense of humor. So like I could just imagine if she was there and that was actually happening, me and her would be the two people laughing. But anyway, so yeah, it is sad. It is sad. I will admit, like, so I got the call around, when was it? I can have a look. She passed away around 1. I got the call at 1:30. I got the call at 1:30, and I already knew because I was talking about this last night. Like, it was almost a given that she was gonna pass away, so I was kind of prepared, kind of ready for it. But you're never really ready for stuff like this. But yeah, when I heard, like, I'm pretty surprised because, put it this way, when my grandfather died, her husband, I bawled my eyes out immediately. And to be fair, that's probably the first big death that I've had to encounter in my life. But at the same time, that person I wasn't, like, very fond of, especially towards the end of his life. And I hadn't seen him in years. Whereas my grandmother, I saw her relatively recently. I spoke with her relatively recently. I had a stronger connection to her as well than him. But the weird part, I guess it's because I was just ready for it. When I heard the news, I was just like, yeah, okay. I didn't even shed a tear. I can count on one hand how many tears I've shed. Like, it has seriously just been 4 solitary tears. 2 in the car on the way home, because I started thinking, like, I'm never gonna see her again, and that sucks. That's a shitty feeling, right? Then 2 just randomly when the horrible conversation of the will came up. So I didn't want to talk about that, and that just made me think of so many horrible things. And so I started, like, not crying, but just, like, literally a tear out of each eye, and then that was done. Admittedly, I will say, I did really, like, clench a little bit when I started streaming just now. Just reading Meme's message, just the highlighted message, just fuck. That, like, became a little bit emotional, but Yeah, it's really weird. Like, I have no doubt in my mind it's all gonna hit me at once at some stage. Most likely at the funeral. Potentially completely randomly. But it's weird how life works. It's weird how emotions work like that, huh? Tears as a response to death is a media overrated thing. Different people react to grief differently. Yeah, that's exactly right. And don't get me wrong, I feel utmost sadness because besides, geez, I actually think I was closest to my grandmother out of anybody in my family. She raised me. So when I was born, my mom was living with her parents, and she was a single mother, and she had to go to work. So for the most part, I was just at home, at my grandma's home, just growing up, just being with her. She's the reason I'm fat because she would overfeed me. She would overfeed me. She was there when I was sick. So one thing I don't know if I've really talked about, but when I was a kid, I was fucking fragile as shit. Like, I was really sickly, and I feel like I've done a good job to make that seem not as obvious as it would have been, because I guess the biggest thing, I talked about it actually recently on the walking stream, but the biggest thing about me when I was a kid was I used to have migraines every 6 months on the clock, and those migraines would knock me on my feet for 2 weeks. 2 weeks straight, 2 weeks solid. It would be the type of thing where I couldn't open my eyes and look at any source of light. Like, I couldn't watch TV. I couldn't look at any sort of light. I had to wear sunglasses at one point, just to shade my eyes from any source of light. Otherwise, I would immediately throw up. Even if I hadn't eaten, I would just throw up. And that would go on the entire day until about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then it would start, like, kind of calm down. Like, I'd be okay enough to walk maybe about a minute. And then, like, once that minute time limit was up, I'm done. I'm on my feet again. I'm getting really dizzy. Anyway, the reason I'm telling you this is because every single time I had that, this lady right here was there. She was there, like, not carrying me, but, like, always just holding me up, taking me to the bathroom if I have to throw up, giving me food, giving me Panadol, giving me the medicine that I needed to get over this. Like, it was always her that was just looking after me. There was a point when nobody else in my family actually believed me, because they believed that I was using it as an excuse to not go to school. And she was the only person that believed me, because she saw it from me since I was a kid, and it was exactly the same. It was exactly the same all the way through until I was about 15, when I finally stopped getting them. So yeah, that was my grandmother. Like, she was very caring. She was very family oriented, I'd say. Like, above all else, she cared about family. She didn't really, like Vin Diesel, you know, like, she didn't care about anything else. She hated other people. She was horrible to everybody else. But it was all in good nature for the family. Like, she would put us above anything else, even above her own health. I remember the first time that I saw her get properly sick. I stayed with her the entire, like, week that it was. Like, she stayed at home. She couldn't move, and she ended up, like, I don't know if she broke or like, just bruised her back. I don't remember what it was, but she literally couldn't sit up. She couldn't move. She couldn't eat. She couldn't do anything. And I was distraught, and I decided to stay with her, and I was like 12 years old. I was just in high school at this point, and I looked after her during this time. Yeah, man, it sucks. You never got that checked out despite experiencing constantly for years. I did. So the first time that I got that, this is a side tangent, but I'll explain it very quickly. The first time I got that apparently was when I was around 3 or 4 years old. It was before school started, and it was a birthday. I think it was one of my birthdays, and I went to like a preschool event, and they were like singing happy birthday to me, and I just start like screaming my head off after a nap or something like that. Anyway, they called my mom. They didn't know what to do, and my mom rushed me to hospital, and they said it's just a migraine, but we don't know why it's that bad. Anyway, they kind of just told us, keep him in hospital, we'll see what happens. And I had to stay in the hospital for 2 weeks. I remember that. And then after that, it happened again 6 months later, and just kept happening every 6 months. Every 6 months, we'd go to the doctors, we'd get checkups, we'd try to find out what we could do to fix it. And I remember the doctor at one stage when I was around 8 or 9 years old was like, we can fix it, but the problem is 2 things. Number one, he's too young for this experimental drug that we can do. We can use on, adults who have this type of problem. Or we could use this drug that sometimes works, but the problem is it's too dangerous for someone who has asthma, which I had asthma. And so they were basically like, sorry, we can't do anything until he's an adult. Once he's an adult, then, and only then, can we give him this drug. And there's not even a surefire way, like, we don't know if this is actually going to fix it or not. Anyway, luckily, before I became an adult, it just went away. It just naturally went away. I don't know why, I don't know how, but I haven't experienced it since. I remember the feeling though, like, I vividly remember the feeling. It is not something I would wish upon my worst enemy, honestly. Like, just imagine being, like, the dizziest you've ever been, times that by 100, and then just make that constantly throughout your 2 weeks. Like, just spin around in your chair, and then just times that by 100. Like, it's horrible. It's a horrible feeling. Like, you constantly want to throw up. Every time I had that, and maybe this is the reason I'm not obese as fuck, or wasn't obese as fuck when I was a kid. Every time I had that, I would lose like 5 to 10 kilos, because I just wouldn't eat. I would have hated life so much more if I experienced 2 week long migraines every 6 months for a decade of my childhood. Yeah. Well, like, I guess the best way to explain it, again, this is such an inappropriate thing to talk about during this stream, but this is the last thing I'll say on it. Do you remember that Simpsons horror episode with the frog? They parody Harry Potter, and they turn this frog into like this constantly throwing up, like, mutant thing. I felt like that for 2 weeks. Like, just kill me. It was not a nice experience to life. But anyway. So, yeah. That was my grandma, so she's I feel like she was very kind. I feel like she was a very kind lady. Only to her family. Like, even to those that wronged her. I won't lie. I harbor a little bit of hate towards my uncle, her son. Because, to be honest, he took advantage of her greatly. In many ways. I'm not going to talk too much about that because I don't want to talk about a hatred towards a family member, especially one connected to my grandmother. But the reason I do bring that up is because even though she knew she was being taken advantage of by him, she would still prioritize him over anything else. And she would do the same for me. She would do the same for pretty much anyone, maybe except for my mom, who... that's probably the saddest thing about this family dynamic, because she certainly loved my mom. But they had a very rocky relationship. A very rocky relationship. To the point where, like... Put it this way, they were in a lawsuit. Like, my grandmother tried to sue my mom. I don't know the details, but they had a very on again, off again, loving but hating, like, weird dynamic. But I think what the best thing about that relationship is at the very end, because of COVID, the only person that got to say goodbye to her was my mom. And my mom loved my grandma very much. I can tell you that for sure. Because she stayed by her side for 3 days. 3 nights, didn't leave the hospital, and held her hand as she passed away. So, I'm very happy that, at the very least, 2 things. Number 1, she's no longer in pain, because, a side tangent, she was, especially in the last 3 or 4 years of her life, maybe even longer, she had a lot of problems, so she doesn't have to feel that anymore. And number 2, she, in a way, made peace with my mom. So, I'm very happy about that. So, I have scoured the internet for some pictures, and I'm gonna get a bunch more pictures from people, from family members, their favorite pictures. They're gonna be sending me them over the next few days. I'm gonna be making a video. I'm gonna hopefully get some video footage as well of my grandma. And I'm gonna make this video for her. But I just wanted to go over these pictures because they each have a little bit of a story. Whether I'm involved in them, I will say, it was very hard to find a picture of me and my grandma together. In a picture. Which says a lot, because number 1, I just don't take very many pictures, but number 2, most of our relationship was real. It wasn't photographed, in my opinion, for a reason. Because it's more... I don't know what the word is, but like... Yeah, the best thing that I can say is it wasn't fake. And maybe through looking at these pictures, you guys can get an understanding of why I love my grandma so much. And we'll start with her favorite photo. This was my grandma, I don't know what year, but when she was, I'm gonna guess, just getting married to, or just recently married to my grandfather. Way back when they had beehive hairstyles. That was her right there. And I don't know if you can see a little bit of a resemblance, maybe in the nose, maybe in the cheekbones. She honestly looks a little bit like my mom. In fact, they're very similar looking, and you'll see that throughout a lot of these pictures. But this is a very old picture of her, obviously, when she's a little bit younger, maybe 30s, I'm guessing, 20s or 30s. And then this is a picture about, I want to say, 10 years ago now. roughly about 2010. A picture of her with my sister and my mom. That's my sister, that's my mom. This, to me, this is the grandma that I remember. This is what I think of when I think of my grandma. Because you'll see, especially in recent years, her health deteriorated and it is very visible in her face, in her body. But this right here, this is how I remember her. This is what she looked like when I was a kid. I used to, so her name is Shahini. Which is, I found out for the first time today, a pretty funny story about her name. So she has like, I don't know how many, but like a million siblings. You'll see that in these pictures as well. But her oldest sibling, who passed away before I was born, I'm pretty sure. I think his name was Shaheen. And my grandmother was essentially named after him. So she was the second eldest in the family. And apparently, they didn't know what to call her. So they asked their 5-year-old at the time son, Shaheen, what should we call your baby sister? And he said Shahini. Good shit. That's I feel like that's pretty on brand. Like, if I had a baby sister, which I do, I have two, but if I had a baby sister and I was given that luxury to name them, I would call them Blakina, like something derived of my name. Absolutely, I am that vain. Is it wrong to say that she's got the Thanos jawline? Dude, Thanos is a Chad. Absolutely. I thought that you would name them twitch.tv/DZTV. They'd have to have 2 underscores though. Only I get the 1 underscore. So this is I don't know when this was. I don't know what occasion this was. But this is a picture of my mother and my grandma. I'd say this is literally just before she started deteriorating in her health. Because she still kind of looks the same as the previous picture. But I'm pretty sure at this stage they had just put her in a home. Which we put her in, well, I didn't choose to. But we had to put her in a home because she lived by herself for a very long time. Like, she separated, never divorced, but separated my grandfather when I was very young. And basically, she was always able to take care of herself. She was a fantastic cook. She was very clean. She was very, like, specific about her living arrangement, which didn't translate well onto me at all. Hello, Grok. How you doing? And kind of just before we put her in a home, she lost that ability. Like, it just wasn't possible for her to look after herself, so we had to. Which sucks because she never liked it there. She had apparently only 2 friends, and they were her best friends, which I didn't even know about, because I hated going to the home to visit her because it just felt so fucking depressing. But yeah, we just had to. She did live with us for a little while. I wasn't living there. I wasn't living with my family at that point. I was living with my at the time girlfriend Rachel. But yeah, we had to put her there, and I'd say this is just about the start of that. And then this is really where you can see. So this is when... Oh my god, you can see Louise in the back. I'll tell you a little about Louise in a second, but this is when my mum got married for the third time. My mum, she had a marriage with my dad, then Isabel's dad, and then now this new Irishman, Tom. Not our Tom. But to be fair, Tom's been with the family for a very long time now. Over 10 years, so... But yeah, this is my grandma. Obviously, absolutely loving herself and loving the environment she's been put in. She despised taking photos, much like me. She, we always had a joke. We always had an inside joke, a family joke, where if we ever took a photo with her, we'd say, smile. By the way, I never got to say the previous story, which is very important. So, quick side tangent. When I was a kid, I used to call her Shisha, because her name is Shahini. When I was a really, like a toddler, I couldn't say Shahini, so I apparently one day just said Shisha, and that just stuck. Stuck. That just stuck. And then, kind of as I got older, I felt like it was not cool to call her Shisha anymore. I kind of wish I kept that, because it brings me really good memories saying that word. That name. But yeah, so Shisha became Teta, and Teta is how I know her to this day. Because Teta is, or I guess you pronounce it in other Arabic languages, Teta, or something like that. I always called her Teta. That's how you say grandmother in Lebanese Arabic. Or Egyptian Arabic. In Arabic. So, this is Teta. This is my grandmother. And, yeah, to tell you the story about the smile, and thank you, Izzy, I appreciate that. Whenever we took a photo of her, we'd be like, Teta, smile. And she would be trying her best to smile, but it was always like a smile like this, so you could never fucking tell if she was smiling. So she'd get really mad, especially if you said it multiple times. She'd be like, I am smiling. It's just so good. So that's my grandmother, that's my mom, and that's her fucking fake ass smile. She has a perfect fake smile. She loves to fake smile in pictures. For some reason, she just cannot do a natural smile. And then, this in the background, my grandma hates her. So, again, I have to say, my grandma, as lovely as she was, as, like, just amazing as she was to the family, she was so intolerant, especially because she was like that typical old person who doesn't have time for your shit. So if she didn't like you, she would fucking let you know. So this right here is Louise, and Louise is my mom calls her my second mother. And the reason she's my second mother is because she's been a family friend since my mum worked at McDonald's. Way back when she was 14. They became best friends and have been best friends ever since. And Louise and my grandma did not get along. They hated each other. And I remember the day of this wedding, my grandma was just constantly calling Louise a bitch. It's so funny because I have such a good relationship with both Louise and my grandma. But just watching that dynamic, it's just so fucking funny to me. Like she she does this thing where she would like fake be nice to you, but you knew that she was being fake nice, and then the moment you turn around, she'd call you a bitch. Oh, fucking hell, I love her. And then this is one of the very, very rare photos of me and my grandma, and it couldn't be a worse photo because she's looking at the picture, she's having fun. This isn't a fake smile or anything. This is like a completely natural, like she's having fun with the dog, which she loved that dog. And then there's me not knowing that whoever the hell took the photo was taking a photo. So I'm not even paying attention. I'm at least 130 kilograms here. And my god, my hair looks disgusting. I'm wearing a t-shirt with my fucking chest hair poking out. It's just, I hate this picture. It's so unflattering. But if we crop me out, it's such an amazingly nice photo. Like, it's such a... You can just see that she was just such a pleasant lady. Like, this here... After a little while, this is how she started looking, and you can kind of tell, or at least I can kind of tell, she became a little bit more frail, especially in her build. She kept a lot in the stomach area, and I can tell you why a little bit later, because I think there's another picture which shows that a little bit better. But yeah, she started becoming a little bit frail here. She had to use a walking stick, and I would help her around a lot. But man, she loved that dog. And I'm very happy, even if it's a terrible photo, I'm very happy that we have a photo together. There are a couple more, but this is one of the only ones I could find. And this one is a very recent one. This one is back this year in March for her 85th birthday. And you can see she's lost the ability to walk. She's gotten a little bit more larger in the stomach area and a little bit more frail in the arms and the legs. And yeah, we'll talk about that in a second, but this is not the entire family, but a large portion of the family. So we have Elham, who is her sister, her younger sister. I think she's the youngest. We have Frilyal, who is, I think, the oldest besides my grandma. So she would be the head of the family now, if you put it that way. We have Noha, who is one of the younger ones. I can't remember her name. There's so many. There's so fucking many. I don't remember half of their names because I don't talk to any of them. You can see my absolute height, by the way. I am so fucking tall. That is me with the long locks before I went bald. I am the third tallest in the family, standing at a whopping 5'6". So you can see that my family is very short. Yeah, I do have Lebanese background. You have a family of tiny people. Dude, you should see how short Elham is. This lady, she's a teacher, and she's very nice. I once hit her across the head accidentally, but she's like 4'5". Like she's not a dwarf. She's completely, like, perfectly symmetrical? I don't know, like, I don't know what the word is, but she is genuinely tiny. She's the same size sitting down as 5-year-old next to, exactly. Exactly. No, she is tiny. She is tiny. This lady is the big one, and she had all the devil spawn in the family. So, for example, Andy over here, this guy, he may not look tall, and I'd say he is probably your height, Tom. For my family, that's fucking tall. He's the third, or yeah, he'd be the third tallest. He'd be the third tallest. So I would be the fourth tallest in the family. In the family, like, blood related, not including this abomination in the back. But Andy, he was big. Like, put it this way, I was 140 kilos. This guy was like double that. Like, my god. And yet still he's not the biggest. We have next to me Ali, or I call him Illo. I don't know why. But that's what I've always called him. I think that's his name in Lebanese. But he was one of the tallest until this guy, I can't remember his name for the life of me. But this guy is her son, and he is like 6 foot. He's like 6 foot. And he's fucking jacked as well. He's absolutely massive. One time, I was walking with him, a couple of other cousins who aren't in this family picture. And he needed to spit. So I should say, especially being, I don't know why I'm quoting, but especially being of Lebanese descent, I hate saying that, by the way. I do not ever identify as Lebanese because it's just disgusting to me. Just knowing that I am Lebanese is the most horrible thing in the world. But because he grew up in that environment, and he was, I think he's from Bankstown. I mean, where else would he live? He was like one of those Eshe, like, Lebanese guys. Like, if you're Australian or from New South Wales, you'll know what I mean. Like, he's one of those Lebanese guys, right? Or at least he was when he was growing up. And he was just like the cousin that I hated the most. There's two things about him, two stories that come to mind. I broke one of his games on PlayStation because his sister was like, she knew that I liked playing the game whenever I went over to his house. And she's like, oh, I can just burn it for you. And so she tried to burn it. And then she ended up breaking the CD or something. And then he blamed me for it. And then the other story is what I was trying to say. So we were just walking. He needed to spit. And he just hocked a massive fat loogie. And he didn't look where I was. I was like tiny compared to him. He spits and it just hits me across the eyes. Straight in the eye. Anyway. Yeah, half of these people I don't really know anymore. I don't speak to. I would say the other half I've never met. But the sisters, they're very important family figureheads. And then she was the head of the family. And it was a really big deal that she got to 85. I will say in this picture, so this is probably her at her worst. Like, what's the word? Like, physically. In terms of health. So her stomach blew up. And when I say blew up, I mean like it almost genuinely exploded. This time last year, it got to about maybe a quarter larger than it is here in this photo. And I want to tell you what this is. It's full of air. It's just full of air. She weighed 40 kilos in this picture. And she looks like she's a lot heavier because of the stomach, right? But no, it's just air. And so this time last year, we thought that she was going to pass away. She went to hospital, and the doctors were like, we need to essentially poke her stomach open somehow safely and release the air extremely slowly, otherwise she'll die. This is somehow something that didn't cause her death this time, but that was a really scary moment because she could essentially combust at any point. And they got it to a point where she could still walk around, but she had to be extremely careful. And so she's looking at this kid here because, number one, this kid reminded her of her when she was a child. She just looks a lot like my grandma when she was a kid. But another thing is, this kid, this little shithead, and this little fuckface were just running around the house really annoyingly and almost ran into her. If that had happened, she could have genuinely exploded. And I say that kind of laughing, but it's true. Anyway, it was a really amazing event to have. This is probably the first time in, I want to say, 15 years that we were all together like this as a family. And some people didn't come because of harbored hatred, harbored feelings. But this was a very significant time for our family. Did I have fun? I mean, I had fun. You can see me looking happy in the back. I was talking to Ali quite a lot. He is the same person who recently messaged me about getting phones from my company, from the company I work for, which now means I will never talk to him again. Anyway, moving on. Next picture, please. It won't go to the next picture. Okay, there we go. So this is another picture of the wedding. So this is obviously my mom, my grandma, and this is Tom. Not Tom, but Tom. She did not want to be here. This is about, I want to say 9 or 8 months after she sued my mom. So they had just patched up things. And thankfully, she likes Tom. She hates him behind his back, but she likes Tom. But I know that she likes Tom because she actually went to the wedding. And that was pretty significant for our family as well. I was looking at this picture before stream, and I, for the life of me, had no idea who the fuck this was. But now I realize that must be her. The auntie who I forget her name. I think that's her. But that's probably my grandma when she was younger, and her sister, her younger sister. Another rare photo of me and my grandma. Not a me and my grandma picture alone, but me and my grandma. With my sister, with my mom, and with my grandma's sister, Noha. You know how bad it would be if you put her in a picture during the video that wasn't her? I'll confirm. I think this was for my 19th birthday? 18th or 19th? I don't remember. But we went to a Lebanese restaurant in Maroubra, I think. But yeah, this is me when I was around 18 or 19. Did I lose my eyesight or did... No, Tom just really sucked at taking photos. But this is like the clearest photo of this picture that I could see. That I could find. Again, this is my grandma, how I remember her. I don't think this is in the same restaurant. Oh, excuse me. I do think this is in the same restaurant, but I don't think this is from the same night. But then again, she's wearing the same clothes. In fact, they're both wearing... It must be from the same night. It is the same night. I don't remember this photo at all, though. But again, my grandma and my mom. One thing that I absolutely hate about COVID, we can talk all day about all the restrictions, all the silly shit, blah, 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 vaccine this, vaccine that. The worst thing about COVID for me is truly, and this is especially evident now, like as of today, it's truly the fact that I could never see my grandma. Before that birthday event, I had seen her once, and that was Christmas, and I couldn't even see her there. We had to go to the home that she was staying at, and I wasn't allowed inside. I had to wait outside for them to come out onto the balcony to physically see my grandma, because they wouldn't let me in because of COVID. And the last time I saw my grandma was my birthday. That was just before this lockdown. And yeah, they managed to take her from the home to the family house. And I did get to see her there. But yeah, they allowed Tom, they allowed my mom, they had to wear masks. But I was never allowed to see her. I don't know which one my grandma is here. I think she's the one on the left. I think this is her. But it also very well could be the kid. I can't tell. I think it's her. Worst thing about COVID for me is the fact that it gave me retrospect and insight on my life and how shitty it is, while simultaneously denying me the ability of doing much about it. Yeah, that's absolutely true. On a very light note compared to what we're talking about here, and I guess I can kind of tie it in with another story, but on a very light note, one thing that I kind of wish that I did a little bit more was go out and talk to people, date and actually meet people of interest. Because if I could do that right now, I would. And I never actually sought that before. I kind of just let it come to me. And it came eventually, but it was never something that I actually strived for. Whereas now, I literally can't do it. Put it this way. You guys know that I use Hinge and Tinder and all those apps, right? I haven't talked to a single person on any of those apps. Because it's just... I don't know why. It's just impossible these days because most people can't meet up because we're in lockdown. Anyway, the reason I bring that up is mainly to respond to you there, but another thing about my grandma is she was very insistent, and I kind of failed her here. She was very insistent on me getting married young so I could have grandkids. Oh, not grandkids. So I could have kids that she could meet. Because, again, she was a very family-oriented person, and she really wanted that. She wanted to see what my kids would be like. Which is very sad. Then again, I've said this before. She was an amazing person, and she was very lovely and everything. And I'm sure she would love anyone that I would choose to spend my life with. But at the same time, she was extremely intolerant. And no memes when I say this. Don't fucking ban me, Twitch. I swear to you, if my baby turned out to be Asian and I showed that to my grandma, I think she would have died then and there. She was so intolerant. And in all likeliness, that's probably what's gonna happen. So sorry, Grandma. What about my Twitch chat children? No, she never really knew that I did Twitch. Like, I've told her, but she doesn't understand what it is, obviously, because she's older, as well as just in general. She kind of lost the ability to speak English or understand English when she was, in the last couple of years of her life. And yeah, the ironic thing is Lebanon is an actual Asian country, but she never saw it that way. She always saw Lebanon as a Middle Eastern country. Because, it's an Arabic-speaking country. But anyway. Yeah, she didn't like Asians. Sorry, guys. It's not just Asians. She didn't like a lot of people. But anyway, this is a slightly younger picture of my grandma and her sisters. I'm just realizing there's no picture of her and her brother, and she loved her brother. Her brother's name is Labib. I call him Uncle Labib. I don't know why, because he's technically not my uncle. He's like my grand uncle, my great uncle. I don't know what you want to call him. He's my mom's uncle. But yeah, there's no pictures that I found of her and him together. Did you hear about Israel and Palestine? What happened with them? No. I was just looking and I feel like that was a direct attack on me by your grandma. That's why I love her. This is a picture of Tom trying to force people to like Irish sports. So he bought everybody like an Irish jersey. I don't know what jersey that is. I think it's for hurling. But whatever it is, my grandma had no idea what the fuck was going on here. I remember that because I think I was sitting on the couch when they took this photo. I refused to be a part of it. But all I remember is my grandma like put on the shirt because they made her. It was like they just forced her to put it on, and she was like, okay. Good reading skills. Oh, did I ask her about Israel and Palestine? Shit, sorry. What do you mean, did I ask her about them? I don't think she... Put it this way, if you weren't Lebanese or Egyptian, and you weren't family, she would hate you. And that's exactly why I love her. Another picture of my grandma completely having a great time, obviously having a great time right now. You can see it in her face. She just doesn't want to be there. Who's that girl on the right? That's my sister. So that's my mom, that's my sister, that's my grandma. They obviously went and got a makeover at the hair salon. And she's probably just like, what the fuck is going on right now? Where am I? Because she did, towards the end of her life, start developing Alzheimer's as well. So that's what I mean by, like, she kind of forgot English. Like, she started talking to me in Arabic. And because I can understand Arabic but can't speak it, I would respond to her in English. And she would respond to me in Arabic. And I shit you not, she forgot everybody at least once in the family. Except for me. Even, and this is kind of sad, but even the last time I spoke to her, which was about 3 days ago, the second my mom said, Blake is on the phone, I could hear her saying, let me speak to him. Like, she knew who it was. But, yeah, everybody else, she just forgot at least once. I remember my mom being forgotten by her. Like, she took such offense to it. I was like, Mom, she has Alzheimer's, you have to understand. She's like, how could she forget her own daughter? This would have been 2019. Because you can see the eyebrow slit. 2019 or 2020? Yeah. I don't remember which one. But she was not well here. You can see her skin's kind of like gone a little bit sickly, gone a little bit green. I remember looking over to her, and you remember how I told you about how she couldn't really look after herself towards the end of it. Well, when she was eating, this is Christmas, obviously, as you can tell from the Christmas hat she's wearing. This is Christmas, and Mom makes a feast every single Christmas. And we put some food on her plate. My grandma's always like, I want more, but she can't eat more because she has problems with her stomach. And she will literally explode if she eats too much. So we would give her food and she would just like drop it, and it would just go all over her face and all over her clothes like an actual infant. And to the point where I think it was at this one, I was like, I wasn't going to stand for it anymore. So I fed her. Like, it didn't make her feel good. Like, she didn't want me to. I remember it's like one of the only times that she's actually gotten mad at me, but I had to. Because it was just too sad to watch. The photo above, so you're going to see a lot of cringy photos. In fact, you probably have seen them already, but my mom loves photos. She loves social media. She loves showing off the family. In fact, she has already made a post about the death as well, which, I mean, fair play to her. Like, it's a way to let the family know, I guess, but she's very conscious about how she looks in the eyes of others. It's a little bit of a gripe I have about my mom. But anyway, when I was still living with them, she kind of like forced the family to take family photos. And so that there is Tom, our old dog Caesar, so not Bailey, who is in Tom's arms there, but Caesar, Isabel, me, and Mom. And I just look like the biggest fuckwit in all of these photos, by the way. You'll see a couple of them, I'm sure, as we go on. But it was because I just didn't want to be there. You're streaming about it to Twitch right now. I know. To be honest, though. Okay, I don't want to get into this, but the reason I'm streaming it is because I just want company, to be honest, and I do want to honor her in a way. The problem I have with my mom about social media is she's very obviously just trying to farm likes. Whereas, yeah, okay, I can garner sympathy from doing this, but that's why I turned off all the channel points. I turned on follow mode. Like, I only want people who... I was actually tempted to put on subscriber only mode, but then people like Devine wouldn't be able to talk, and hello, Devine. Also, I feel like turning on subscriber only mode is kind of worse, because then you're farming subs for sympathy. I don't know. Is Tom your family? So Tom is my mom's husband. Technically my stepdad, but I've never referred to him as my stepdad. I always call him Tom. Kind of like how Bart calls Homer, Homer. Not Ice Halo Tom. Different Tom, different Tom. It's all about that grind. Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. I am that... fuck off, Tom. Please don't. Assholes. Okay. This is a different year. Shut the fuck up, glasses. So this is a different year. I want you to tell me. Spot the odd one out here. That would make the stepsister meme thing a whole lot more interesting. She's not my stepsister, she's my half-sister. We are related by blood, okay? Get it right. The picture in the right. Oh, yeah, okay, you can see the picture here now. And you can see that I just look like the fucking biggest dickhead. Middle right. Why am I the odd one out? You know, I actually haven't seen any half-sister porn. It's either full sister or stepsister. Okay, let's not talk about that. Is it the white kid in the front? That's certainly one of them. Because I'll tell you now. Let's go back one picture. This is Tom. This is not Tom. This is Brian. So this is Tom, my mom's husband. And then this year, Brian and his son came to visit from Ireland. So Brian is Tom's brother. And he looks exactly like Tom. They're not twins. They're not even twins. They just look alike. It's insane. I think Tom is the older brother. Hello, Ari. How you doing? They're just Irish. Exactly. They're all the same. Brian looks your age. So Brian, I think he's in his 40s. But he was really cool. He was a really cool dude. He was a really cool dude. And the little guy in the front, I can't remember his name, I'll be honest with you. But that's his son. And he loved me. Like, the fact that I streamed on Twitch, he was like, oh my god, do you play Fortnite, Dab? Like, just, he was really, really amazed that he has someone who is essentially family who streams on Twitch. I advised Brian never to let him watch my stream because I didn't want to get in trouble, because I just feel like I would turn him into just the worst kid. I did not dance with him. No, I refused. I told him that I stream boring stuff. But he was like, that's still really cool because you do it on Twitch and I want to watch and blah, blah, blah. And then he found out where I worked and he was like, can I get a phone? I actually sent him, do you remember the Note, what was it? The Note 9 that I had? Or no, was it Note 9? Whichever Note I had. So that one had water damage. And I went out and I got the thingy replaced, the input replaced. They paid for it. And I sent them the Note 9. It is true that your streams are boring. Marbles for a whole year. I know. Disgusting. But yeah, there's my grandma. She was always the head of the table. This was the wedding day, again. But this lady here is Henriette. So Henriette was, or is, rather. She's not dead. My grandma is. Henriette is my great uncle Labib's wife. Shut up, Davine. God damn it. But yeah, that's my mom on the left. That's on her wedding day. I didn't want to comment on her face. Here we go. Does she look exactly like me, but just with makeup? Because it's either she looks exactly like me, but with makeup, or is she your sister, or is she single? One of the three. Why can't I drop bananas? Yeah. Why can't you? I don't know what this picture is. I put this here because that is my grandma there when she was younger. But I have no idea who the fuck this is. And who the fuck this is. But anyway. Tasman, thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. And hello, Mayonnaise. How you doing, man? So this is another older picture. I don't know what occasion this is, but obviously this is like the 50s, maybe the 60s. But this is my grandma and her husband. You reckon it's a church? It very well could be because they were very, very religious. I don't think it was a Christian church if that's the case though, because... So, my grandma was Roman Catholic before she married. To marry my grandfather, she had to, change religion essentially. She had to become, Orthodox. Coptic Orthodox, which is what I am. Or which is what I'm baptized as. So, Yeah, this is her when she was young. This is my grandfather. This is what my grandfather looked like. Apparently, I resemble my grandma and my mom more than anything. But I'll tell you what. Looking at a picture of my grandfather, maybe this isn't the right picture to show you, but as I get older, I see a lot of his features in my face. You can farm a lot of karma from my grandma. Are you talking about Reddit, dude? Just arrived to work and decided to chill for a bit. How am I? So, this is... I won't lie. This is a pretty heavy stream, so I'm not gonna answer that with a lie and say good, because my grandma died today. And that's what this stream is. So it's literally just me going over a few pictures. I have handled it, I think, relatively okay. Enough to stream. But we're just going through pictures. It might seem boring to you, but this is more of a for me thing anyway. So if you're here for the ride, I appreciate it. I appreciate the company. If not, if you want the regular viewing, I'll be back eventually. At least she's in a safe place. That's true. Like, I think the thing about today is the thing I appreciate the most, and I've said this a couple of times, but it's true. She was in a lot of pain for years. And so now that it's happened, I'm kind of glad that she doesn't have to go through that anymore. They say that life is a game, as we all know, DZ never and DZ, as we all know, DZ never gets mad at games. Yeah, I'm just the coolest, calm, collected person ever. Well, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate you coming by, honestly. If it's not your kind of vibe, by the way, guys, if you are here for chill, I'm happy to be chill, and I hope that I can put a smile on your face through this. Through the memories, even if you didn't know this person, maybe you can kind of get a peek at what this person was like through this window, but if that doesn't interest you, I completely understand. I will say, though, above all else, I would appreciate the company, and that's pretty much the reason I'm streaming right now.